My name is Hillary, and today we're going to address the need for a women's healthcare clinic in Center County, Pennsylvania. That's where I live, and I'm from New York City, where we have them everywhere. So when I moved here, it was a surprise to me that we didn't have any affordable women's healthcare. So I thought there was a need to address that, and I wanted to go over that with you guys. So let's start. I want to talk a little bit about the purpose of this assignment. It's to address that there are no confidential, low-cost women's healthcare clinics in the area. I searched high and low, and there's nothing. There's one that's a low cost, but it's not confidential. And then there's one that's high cost, but it's not affordable for women, obviously. Um, to understand if there's a real reasoning behind the issue. I was hard pressed to find anyone who could talk a little bit about that, but we'll do our best. And then to work with members of the community to find a short-term solution to the problem that will turn into a long-term solution, hopefully, because we have a couple ideas of what we can do to make that a reality. Before I start, I wanted to do the 5 Ws just to kind of briefly go over what we're going to talk about. The who is the women of Center County. The what is a new, safe, affordable, confidential healthcare clinic. When, as soon as possible. We need it. We needed it like yesterday. Where all over the county. In a perfect world, there would be one within 10-mile radius. This is a large county, and it's difficult for a lot of women in poverty to get to certain places, especially when there's no busing. And why/how is the purpose of this assessment. So I want to start a little bit about things to understand, because there are a lot of things to understand before we go into this that I want people to know that we're kind of gonna start to look at in a different light. All the healthcare providers in town that say they provide healthcare for women also provide for men. So we don't have anything specifically for women to deal with women. It's great to have those unisex doctors, but that's just what they are. They're doctors. They're not low affordable clinics for women. This is an especially hot button topic, especially in today's climate. We talk a lot about women's healthcare and politics and the media. So we want to make sure that we handle this with care. A lot of people don't want to talk about this. A lot of people don't want to make this a thing. So we need to make sure we're really careful when asking those questions, especially in a community like we have right now, where we have a lot of conservative religious people. The only Planned Parenthood, which is, the kind of the nation's idea of what a women's healthcare clinic would be, is 50 miles away. So it's very, 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 very difficult for women in poverty to get there. Again, when we think of women's healthcare clinics, we think of Planned Parenthood, and it's kind of impossible for women in poverty to get there. There is a women's resource clinic, but it doesn't provide health services. It provides everything else for women who have been abused, but no healthcare. And then the last thing to know, one of the last things to know actually, is that there is a low-cost clinic. It's called the Pregnancy Resource Clinic, but it's faith-based, and that makes kind of an issue because it won't be confidential. If you're under 18, they do want to tell your parents, and meaning things like birth control and other things that may not mesh well with religion is impossible. For those two reasons, the Pregnancy Resource Clinic is a great option, but not one that we would want to use as people and women looking for low-cost, confidential resource healthcare clinic. So what do low-cost healthcare clinics do? Not all low-cost healthcare clinics are Planned Parenthood. There are plenty around the nation that are not. So when we look at them, we think of contraceptives, we think of counseling, and things like low-cost STD and even abortions at some point. I don't want to talk a lot about abortions because it's not really relevant to what we're talking about here, in a sense that it's just a small portion of what a low-cost health clinic does. But all of these things we think that a low-cost health clinic does, but it also does things like general health screening for diabetes and glaucoma. We're looking at things like counseling for other diseases. And of course, they treat STDs and STIs. We see that unprotected sex has a higher rate of HIV for women. Um, that is because women are the carriers of HIV, and that pregnant teens who are already teen moms are at higher risk for sexually transmitted diseases or repeat pregnancy. Again, we're looking at the unsafe sex without a condom. And if you can't find low cost healthcare clinics, you don't have contraceptives on a woman's end. So that's a little bit about what a low cost healthcare clinic does. And it makes it really easy for women in poverty or women who can't afford to go see a gynecologist to get that information and to get that care. The sample here is all the women in Center County, PA. I know we've talked a little bit about women in poverty, but it's all the women, and that's about 77,502 women, according to the Census Bureau, about 48% of the county. So about half of the county is women, and they need some sort of health care for all different kinds of reasons. The main one being pregnancy. Men don't get pregnant, obviously, so women do need that health care for at least the pregnancy portion of their lifetime. Where are we getting our information from? We're looking everywhere. We've got to look at the Census Bureau because we have to look at the numbers, how many people are in the community, how many women are in the community, how many women are in poverty. We also have to look at Mount Nittany Hospital, CHNA. For those of you who don't know what a CHNA is, it's a Community Health Needs Assessment. Basically what that means is it's a rundown that's every 3 years of the community that the hospital serves. So Mount Nittany Hospital serves all of Center County. So it's a rundown of everything from women in poverty who are pregnant to men who have prostate cancer to diabetes. So we really need to look at that to look at women's health. Various peer-reviewed journals, obviously, and 3 interviewers. I was able to get 3 interviews. That is from Kendra Gettig, who is the director of Out of the Cold. Oh, shit, there are so many typos in this thing. Fuck.